Hello. Let's give everybody a few minutes to show up. Who's here? There's a chat you can send messages all throughout the reading in the chats. Definitely gonna need some feedback since this is like a one-way broadcast. Hey, good to see you, Chad. Welcome, welcome. I finished your commissioned poem. Thank you so much for the recommendation. It took a different turn than I was expecting, but it's done and I will email it to you later. But good to see you here. So I have put together many poems for you. This broadcast is only 30 minutes long, by the way, so I'm not sure how many poems we'll get through, but I also wanted to be able to do Q&A, so if you have any questions, there should be a ask a question button on the screen that you can submit any questions to and give any feedback. So, yep, we'll just give people maybe 2 more minutes and we'll get started. I've got some poems queued up, but then I have a fun game we can play a little later. Hey, Madeline, thank you for coming. I'm excited. Now that we have someone from Seattle here, I can maybe read one of my Seattle poems from when I used to live up in the Pacific Northwest. So excited to see you here. It's gonna be a short one. And the reason why this is short was one, because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. And two, because I'm on a free trial of this website and they only let you stream for 30 minutes at a time. So we'll see how it goes. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, great. I got this mic and I want to make sure that it's working. Hey Igor. Good to see you. Cool. So again, we'll start in 1 minute. We've got 58 seconds before I read you your first poem. Feel free to chat it up the whole time, and there should be an ask a question button if you have any questions, because technically this counts as your Q&A for September. So AMA, ask me anything. It's gonna be good. And I think this is being recorded. So if there are people who couldn't make it, who are patrons, or um, yeah, they couldn't make it, or I don't know. We'll see what happens with this recording. But again, I don't even know if it is going to be recorded because I'm on this free trial. So we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, 7 seconds. Let's see. All right. I'm ready. I'm ready to poetry for you. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to be looking at you and reading from my laptop. And the first poem, you all voted. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. Okay, now that we've officially started, you all voted for inspiration and encouragement as the like number one theme for this for this poetry reading. And then thanks to Igor, I found this app called Ulysses, and I sorted all of my poems. It was probably like 200 or 300 files that I sorted through, deleted some, put a bunch of them, like almost 50 of them are not even finished. They're just work in progress. So those will be fun to share during Work in Progress Wednesday. But I realized that most of my poems are about relationships and love. So sorry. And then the overwhelming majority of them are sad. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I just wanted to tell you that I found two decent inspirational poems that I will share with you, and two really short happy poems that I'll share. But then after that, it's basically going to be all downhill. I'm either like dramatically in love or it's just trials and tribulations. So get some tissues and some tea, and I hope you're having a whole mood, because that's what's going to happen today. It'll be fun time. So let me stop talking and dive in with the first poem. Cool. All right. Okay, so this poem is called A Life Well Lived. And the rules for the poetry slams I've been going to that I told you all about in the newsletter is no intros and no explanations. So I'm just going to dive right in. Here we go. A Life Well Lived. A life well lived, full of time well wasted, the fruits of my labor, how sweet they have tasted. The challenge, the mission, the struggle, the strife, the success, the progress, the triumph, the life. Look, look, look for the good. Smile in the moments you don't think you should. Speak warm like sunshine, as rhythmic as rain. Fall, get back up once again. Give, give, give from your heart. Be a wise leader or just play your part. Elevate others as mentor or friend. Fall, get back up once again. A life brand new, a future untainted, equipped with a brush and prepared to go painted. The mystery, the wonder, the unknown, the length, the planning, the passion, the focus, the strength. That was A Life Well Lived. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the applause. It's much louder in my head than it is in the chat. This is a poem that I recently shared with some coworkers, some of who became patrons, which is really awesome. Just to inspire us for what we're going through right now. There's a lot of there are many crises that are happening simultaneously, and I think the best thing we can do is just try and enjoy this life and live the best that we can. Remember that it's not all about us. Let's see. The next one is it's a short one, and I thought about doing like a PowerPoint presentation because some of these poems are based on photos or real moments that I saw in life that were so inspiring. I wrote a poem about it. But this one is a poem that is about a picture of my mom. Oh, sorry, I forgot. No intros, no explanations. I'm just going to dive right in and let the poem be whatever you need it to be right now. Here's it. This poem is called Who's Gonna Save You? I awoke from a dream, and the spell was broken without the need of a kiss from a prince. And I let myself out of the tower holdings. I've been free from its grips ever since. Then I got my own crown. It was yellow, golden, and a castle that stands by the sea, where I do no more waiting on handsome strangers. I just live every day doing me. This is a short one for you. Another theme that I found in my poems today was there's a lot about nature, there's a lot about the moon, and there's a lot about the ocean. These are really, really inspiring elements of the world for me. Things that make me feel strong, things that make me feel small, things that remind me that the world is bigger than myself. It's a good theme. So those are your inspiration poems. I hope you feel inspired. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Igor. Yeah, I hope that they are inspirational. These next two are going to be, like I mentioned before, as happy as it gets. So let's see what happens here. The really cool thing about this app is that I went through all of my poems and tagged them: happy, sad, nature, family, perfection, courage. And that makes it really easy for me to find poems of the theme that you're looking for. And again, that's how I realized that I didn't have much for you. We'll start with this one. Again, they're super tiny. This one is called Happy Here. And okay, spoiler alert. I actually wrote this poem when I met Igor, so shout out to you for being in the audience. Happy Here. There's a new set of plans. Priorities have changed. To-do lists have been made again and schedules rearranged. There's room for new adventures. We've canceled all the fear. Get ready for what's coming next. There's only happy here. When I read this poem, I think of like, this is how we're going to feel when there's a vaccine and things are kind of normal and we go out in the world and everyone's just celebrating the return of opening back up and seeing their loved ones again. This next one, we're breezing through. This next one, another really tiny one. It's about nature. It's one that I wish that I had this image of what I saw, and so you'll have to take my word for it. In this imagery here. So it's called A Tiny Drop. Some of my Some of my poem names aren't super creative, but this one's pretty straightforward. Beside the roots of an ancient tree, a tiny drop of water be. At rest atop a fiery leaf, it sits, I stare in disbelief. I know it cannot quench my thirst, but it can soften solid earth. With time and patience it can seep beneath the ground to places deep. For now it lingers in the sun without any interaction. I dare not disturb perfect peace, another God-made masterpiece. When I think of this poem, I think of when I lived back in Seattle and I had this hammock in my backyard, and it had actually misted like it normally does in Seattle while I was sleeping in my hammock, and I was heading back in when I saw this little drop of water on this leaf, and I don't know why I was so spellbound by it. It could have been the way that the sun rays were shining through it. It just captured me, and the poetry writing process is weird sometimes. Like I said, I've got 46 unfinished poems where maybe I had a spark of information and it quickly fizzled out, or I got distracted. And then sometimes the poems just come out of you. And that's what this one was, written completely in one take, as if something took over my body, and it kind of just happened. So that's a great process, and I love it, but it's not very common. I want to take it back. I actually did some digging last night and found like a Word doc of poems that I wrote in my teenage years, way back, way back then, and I wanted to share with you one of my only sonnets from my English class in high school. So maybe I was a senior. This was written in January of 2009. Yeah, and again, don't forget to ask your questions. I'm going to be saving the last few minutes to try and answer those. This also is our segue into the love section of the poetry reading. So if you got a special someone in mind that you want to compare and contrast and reflect this on, bring them up. But we'll start in the happy times. Here we go. This one is called Sonnet Project. A heart so lost and damaged from the past can find no truth in love to heal its pain. It searches to and fro from first to last, but all its frail attempts have been in vain. It holds no hope of ever being free of all the chains that hold it in its place. It clings to what is left of sanity, afraid to show the world its ugly face. From nowhere comes the savior of the day and sweeps this love-scorned heart up off its feet. The pain is numb, the torture gone away. A perfect end, the story is complete. It never thought that all dreams could come true. A love so real, it found it all in you. Oh, that's definitely one of my favorites. I was having a talk with Igor earlier, and there's something about constraints that sometimes work for me and sometimes don't. And I believe a sonnet is constrained about love and also in 14 lines. And so you kind of have these guidelines. And outside of that English class, I don't think I actually studied poetry much, but it's something that I've definitely been diving into as I've been kind of taking this whole experience a little bit more seriously, but also just giving myself the freedom to write whatever I want, whatever I feel, which is mostly what I write about, how I feel. So let me switch it up. Aha. Yes. Okay. Again, another reference to. Oh, thank you, Chad. Um, another reference to the poetry readings that I've been going to. On Wednesday, we just have a poetry slam, and we share and we give each other feedback. And I forgot to mention this. I'm sorry, but it would be great if you just take note of any lines that particularly stick out to you, strike you, resonate with you. I'd love to collect those at the end and kind of hear which poems you like the most and which ones, yeah, which lines, what was there, some rhyme or some verse that you were like, ooh, yes, more of that. That's gonna help me learn and grow. Um, But one of the things that I recognize is that I rhyme all the time. Maybe it's because I listen to music. I have no reason, uh, but a lot of the artists there were writing in dialogue, in prose, in these like dramatic interactions, in this free form language where you had no idea. Oh, did I rhyme? Oh well, who knows? Uh, but yeah, they have like all this like freeform prose that somehow comes together, and the poem makes sense. And I thought, ah man, I rhyme all the time. I don't do that. I'm again so constrained by the rules of what I feel like a poem or a song is supposed to be. But then when I did some digging through the, like I said, hundreds of poems that were sitting in my phone, I actually found a pretty good number of freeform, free flowing, very emotional thoughts. And so I'm going to share one of those with you as we're in this love section of this poetry reading, which is more than halfway over already. Can you believe that? It's halfway over. So again, if you have questions or whatever, put them in the question area, and I will totally answer them. All right, this one is called For You. I'm going to do my best to make this as dramatic as it was when I wrote it. I'd write it all for you, over and over, with no mistakes for you, spell checking it because my heart breaks for you, delete it because my heart aches for you. I'd go blind for you, close my eyes and rewind time for you. I didn't see a thing and cross a line for you, take it all and just make it mine for you. For you, I'd give up sleep, sell my alarm clock and force my heart to beat. While on that, I would cease to breathe and eat. I live for you. My life is incomplete. Look at you, man. You're an inspiration. You keep me traveling all across the nations. I feel you next to me, and I love the slight vibration. I've learned so much, and I've enjoyed my education. I plead only one time to tell you this. I was sincere with every word and every kiss. I never thought that the world would come to this. If anything, you'll be the one that I miss. So I read you the wrong poem. I'm so sorry. This one has rhymes in it. See, I can't even help myself. Uh, Let me do my best and try and find it for you because now I feel like I owe it to you. It was probably too raw, and and I thought, no, they're not ready for that. That one that I just read to you for you is actually another one from my teenage years. And if my mom, who's one of my patrons, if she was here, I'm sure she'd be thinking of which ex boyfriend I wrote that about. Um, but let me find the one I really meant to read. Give me 1 second. Let me know in the chat if any of those lines if any of those lines stuck out to you. Ah, found it. It was definitely on the list to be read today. I wish we were all in one room. Yeah, I know. Thank you guys. Oh, I love these quotes. Yeah, the next time I might do this in like a Google Meet or something so you can see each other's faces so I can hear your applauds or boos and see your reactions. But this was a good practice for when there's like 500 people and I don't know all of them that well, that I want them to be able to like unmute themselves and say whatever they want. So, you know, you got to practice and see what the tools of the trade are. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me and being such a great crowd and audience. You're so sweet. All right. Here's the one. It might have rhymes in it, but it's the freeform one that I meant to read for you before. It actually doesn't have a name. Yeah, I've got a number of those as well that are unnamed. But you know what? Maybe you guys can name this poem for me. Hear it out and then let me know. Let me know what you think. This is great. I love that we're really participating on this creation journey with me. Here we go. From my teenage years. This is what we do. We sit in silence, sick with the ill will of our partner, taunted by past deeds and tortured with hopelessness. Where do we go from here? Our hearts hardened and our minds at war. What can we say now that our actions have spoken? How can we heal with this wall growing between us, this river flowing between us? Why does this happen? Why does this hurt? Why can't you understand? Why? I give up, knowing that I said I never would, but I'm giving in for good. This is the last straw and I'm finished with you. I can't take it, so I pack up all you ever gave me, ship it back and hope it saves me from the rage and pain that's building deep inside. My heart is breaking. You can't imagine. You will never believe. You will never, ever know. You don't understand. Look inside. You see you've broken me, lost my strength and will, took all of me. Totally empty and raw, shattered and battered I fall, crumbled to pieces, trying to collect what's left. Pushing my heart to keep beating, knowing my life force is fleeting, trying my best to keep breathing in for you, out for you. Thank you. That's the poem without a name. Oh no, I don't name them. I mean, I do. I assign names to them, but I don't go like I'm gonna write a poem named whatever, and then it comes out. That's not how these things work. Yeah, Madeline, that's my favorite line too. That's my favorite line too. I feel like if I made that the title, that that it would just spoil the best part of the poem. But yeah, well, if you guys think of something, let me know. But no rush on that. Since we're having fun with weird poems, I think I will and give you one that's actually not on the list. That was not pre-selected for the day. But I think it's another good one that you'll enjoy. And then I might have to transition to questions since we only have a few minutes left. That's great. Yeah, steal it. Take it. As long as it exists in the world. Okay. Let me just make this small edit. Okay. This is a poem that I wrote. Speaking loudly and not enough. Oh, as the title, Igor? Is that what you're suggesting? Okay. Yeah. All these candidates. Good candidates. Okay. No intros, no explanations. We're going to dive in. This one is called Paraphrasing. Sup. People ponder the plentiful opportunities placed before them. Particular places and people pique their interests and persuade them to pick what pleases them the most. I don't presume our paths in life are parallel, nor will I pretend that this period of time is perpetual. My purpose is precise and plain, so I propose this plan. Perhaps you can picture this. A purely non-pessimistic perspective, I present a potentially perfect paradise of pleasantries, an arrangement promising passion and peace of mind, a positive pact that we will optimize the pleasure of our presence and think not of the passing point when I depart. Pardon me if this pressures you, but please consider my pitch and I pray you will respond promptly. Yours, Princess Jasmine. This was a this was a fun one that I wrote. I wrote during my study abroad in France. I met this cute guy and I wanted to convince him that we should just do whatever during our time there, and it was fun. It was a good time. I'm sure you've had situational loves, people who you're with and you fall deeply for in the short moments that you have together. This happens at camp. Sometimes it happens at volunteer projects. You never know when it's going to hit you. But I think those moments are so deep and so sweet. Let me at least jump over and look at the questions before we run out of time. And I'm supposed to click a button when it starts so that when this in the recording, it matches the timestamp. Anyway, you don't care. So this question is, who is my favorite poet currently? My favorite poet has always been Edgar Allan Poe. He has had a dark and twisted life. I think he married his cousin. But he is definitely the poet that I most aspire to be like. He is thoughtful, has an amazing vocabulary, just incredible. He's from Virginia, where I lived several years of my life. And one time I was volunteering in Richmond. And my dad and I went to the house that he lived in. It was really awesome. So yeah, would definitely recommend some Edgar Allan Poe. He wrote The Raven, which is a super popular poem, so definitely check that out. And honestly, I've read his entire collection of works and will likely do it again. The next question is the next question is from Chad. It's how long have you been writing poetry? Uh, I want to say definitely since my teenage years. That's as early of a poem as I can find. I wish my mom was here to tell you if I wrote poems earlier than that, but um, yeah, I definitely have been a person who feels a lot. I used to have this like little tiny composition notebook that I would write my thoughts and feelings in. I wish I could find that. But yeah, I've been writing poems for a very long time, and the earliest one that I found has been from like 2005. But I'm sure there are ones that came earlier than that. It's just how I process life. Thank you for your questions. I really do appreciate them. If there are other questions that you have, feel free to ask them. I might just record answers for you and submit a video on Patreon. We've got like 4 minutes left. Sometimes they give you an encore, but I'm not sure if that's like a feature I get because I'm on trial. So we'll see what happens. If in these 3 minutes that's left or 4 minutes that are left, it's all the poems, I'll close like for real. But if they do give me a chance to do an encore, I might be back. So we'll see what happens. What did I have for you? All right. I promised you sadness, didn't I? Let's do it. This one is actually really new. I wrote it sometime this week. It is based on a prompt. I know you all have seen my prompted poetry. It's called I Wish. I honestly think it's a pretty lazy name, but whatever. I wish I could unlove you and reclaim my mated soul. I wish I could untouch you and go back to being whole. I wish I could unsee you, keep the feelings out of sight. I wish I could unhurt you out of pain or out of spite. I wish I could unburn the letters, read them one more time. I wish I could unsend the message, I think I changed my mind. I wish we could unbreak up and break things down instead. I wish I could unhear the words that echo in my head. I rub the lamp, but I think this one's empty. I drop a coin, but it's not going well. Can't find a star when there used to be plenty. The candle's out, I guess this is farewell. Oh, yes, bring it. Get your tissues out. I'm going to keep moving because we don't have time. Let's see. This is a good one. This one's from college, and I don't think we were all always our best selves, and sometimes don't realize that until later. Sorry. That was an introduction. This one's called Reckless. I was reckless with your heart, and I don't know why. I apologize for this, but I know it don't fit my crime. I broke to pieces something fragile, something wholesome, something mine. I was reckless with your heart, but not this time. I was drifting through my pain of getting older, and then I put some of my weights upon your shoulder. You were stronger, you were braver, you were patient, you were kind. I was drifting till you put me back in line. My memory fades to hide the shame of my confession. I've done my time, but now I feel I've learned my lesson. Won't go away, won't close the door, won't stop the fight for you to see that I was broken when you fell in love with me. And though you're far, I know that you can always hear me. Though you have given up the strength to get too near me. I promise you don't have to push away, to run, to hate, or hide. I swallowed all the pills, even my pride. Floating in a haze, no excuse, no excuse. Going through a phase of abuse, sprinkling this shrapnel on the lives that passed me by. I was reckless with your heart, and I don't know why. So that's it. This is where we end, I think. I've got 40 seconds before I think it shuts me down, but this was lovely. I hope you enjoyed this poem, all of these poems. It was really fun to go through everything I've written and put them together for you. It's been really fun to have your support for the last 2 months. I'm gonna keep writing, keep sharing, keep being inspired. And again, if you have any feedback, please let me know because I don't want to do this alone. I don't want to have to figure out everything by myself, and I just appreciate you guys being along here with me. So